Today, I have a video ranking the top 10 tech hubs in the United States. I've done a previous video ranking best cities to move to in terms of escaping these tech hubs, but I wanted to do a follow-up video ranking 10 biggest and most popular tech hubs in the US and seeing how they compare against each other in 2021. If you want to work in tech but don't want to live in one of these big metro areas, there are definitely many other options now, and I'll link my previous video below. However, if you still want to move to one of the big tech cities but don't know which one is right for you, then this video is going to help with that. Alright, let's get into it. For this ranking, I'll be going in alphabetical order through the 10 biggest tech hubs in the United States. And the criteria I will be using to evaluate these cities are the following: opportunity, cost of living, livability score, and natural beauty / quality of life. First on the list is Austin, Texas. Austin seems to be on top of everyone's list in terms of the best city to move to in 2021, mine included. Austin has become very popular in recent years due in part to its ratio of cost of living to the opportunities afforded. There are lots of big companies and startups hiring tech workers in the area, and the list is growing by the day. Large tech giants such as Apple and Google are building campuses here, and more startups are being founded in the city every week. Austin is fairly affordable compared to many other cities on this list, but it is getting more expensive. The cost of living is much lower. Groceries, restaurants, entertainment, and travel are all cheaper. Housing too is affordable compared to this list, though pretty unaffordable compared to many other cities in the US. And as a note, housing in particular in the Austin metro area is getting more expensive seemingly by the week. In terms of livability, Austin has tons of activities to do on the weekend. There's hiking, parks, a great food scene, food trucks as a concept started here. Cycling is very popular. There are tons of great road trips within a 3 to 4 hour drive, and the Texas Hill Country and Texas Wine Country are both close by. The city and its surrounding area are beautiful. This is in part what makes the hiking and other outdoor activities so great in this area. Overall, Austin is a great city, and I would put it in S tier. Austin has a great value for its cost of living. It's beautiful, there are lots of opportunities, and they're growing quickly, and you get all of this for a reasonable cost of living. Next is Boston. Boston is the traditional hub of the biotech and pharmaceutical industry in the US, and because of that, there are lots of tech jobs too. More and more companies are opening up second offices in Boston, and there are quite a lot of startups in the area too. Having universities such as Harvard close by definitely doesn't hurt the startup scene either. In terms of cost of living, Boston's is pretty high, but it has high salaries to match. It's definitely not the most affordable northeastern city, but you are compensated well enough to maybe make up for it, depending on your personal preference. Boston has a good quality of life as a large northeastern city. I would argue personally the best. You have the ocean nearby, lots of day trips within a 2 to 3 hour drive, and you have the beautiful mountains and forests within a short drive as well. If you like colder weather, this is a good city for you, but the winters can be harsh and very snowy. If you like sunny days and don't like seeing snow or ice, this is not the city for you. But if you like being in a metro area in the Northeast and having that northeastern climate and lifestyle, this can be a great choice. Overall, Boston is B tier. It's good for tech, especially good for biotech, and is also an ideal northeastern city, but doesn't have as much opportunity or affordability as some of the other cities on this list. Next is Chicago. Chicago is a huge metro area with many good opportunities, but not as many compared to others on this list. Chicago has some downsides. There is a pretty high cost of living. Not as terrible as New York, LA, or the Bay Area, but still pretty high for the US. Salaries are good, but not incredible compared to some of these other cities, and overall, it just doesn't offer the same bang for your buck in terms of opportunity to cost of living as any of the other cities on this list. If you love big cities, then Chicago might be for you, but overall it has some of the lowest livability compared to the other cities. There are some solid parks and the lake nearby, but in terms of proximity to beautiful natural areas, Chicago ranks lowest. But if you like living in an urban core and don't care as much for nature, Chicago might be a great place for you. Overall, I would put Chicago in the C tier. It has some decent opportunity compared to a lot of American cities, but when matched against the cities on this list, it ranks pretty low. It's weaker in every category compared to its counterparts, and therefore I can't place it higher than C tier. Next up is Denver. Perennially ranked as one of the best cities in America, Denver really lives up to that reputation. It has a solid amount of job opportunity, especially in the tech sector, and this is ever increasing. Companies are relocating and startups are being founded every week. Denver is touted as one of the next great cities for tech in the US. Denver has a high cost of living, but it's actually reasonable compared to the rest of this list. Yes, housing can get a little expensive, but if you look at house prices in most of the other cities, Denver actually looks pretty reasonable. This part of the country has just incredible natural beauty. The Colorado Rockies nearby are absolutely gorgeous. There's a very high quality of life in Denver. If you love the mountains or winter sports, this is the place for you to move. There's nowhere else in the country where you can get the same access to those activities like you can in the Denver area. Overall, Denver is S tier. It has it all. Natural beauty, job opportunities, quality of life, and it's not unaffordable when compared against the other cities on this list, and is a top contender if you are an avid outdoorsman. Next is Los Angeles. LA has lots of tech jobs, but not as many as the other cities on this list, especially compared to the cost of living. Yes, there are companies like Netflix in the area who employ thousands of people, but the concentration of tech companies is just not as high as in these other cities. It does offer a very high quality of life, with tons of outdoor activities such as the beaches and the mountains nearby. The entertainment and food scene are incredible as well, and the city is just gorgeous. LA is built in one of the most beautiful parts of this country. Even though LA is a good city, there are better options if you want a career in tech. If you want to work in tech and live on the beach, you're especially interested in the more entertainment-focused tech companies, LA could be a great option for you. Otherwise, it is not the best choice on this list, specifically in regards to its high cost of living and relatively low job opportunities. Overall, I would put LA in the C tier. Next is New York City. New York is best for people who want big city life. New York has very strong job opportunities in tech and in adjacent industries. If you can name a big tech company, they likely have an office in Manhattan. Finding job openings in New York is not difficult at all. New York has its downsides, though, of course. It has an extraordinarily high cost of living, and affording even a decent apartment and your groceries is going to be very expensive. Thankfully, the salaries here do match the insane cost of living. Livability depends on the type of person you are and what you're looking for in a city. It is incredible if you are a city lover and want to be in the middle of everything. But at the same time, it is terrible if you like nature, weekend trips, or just being outdoors away from other people. And honestly, while New York is a beautiful city, there's not much natural beauty in the area. Overall, I would put New York as B tier. It's a solid option, especially for those who know they want to live in a big city, but those who want a more relaxed or balanced lifestyle, or who want to be near nature should probably stay away, as there are better options. Next is Phoenix. Phoenix is simply a good alternative to the West Coast. It's one of the cheapest tech metros in the country. Phoenix doesn't have as much opportunity as the other places on this list currently, but jobs are steadily increasing. Companies are opening offices in Phoenix left and right, and there's even the beginnings of a robust startup scene in the Phoenix metro area. Salaries here are also not as high. Since the cost of living is so low and housing is so affordable, salaries do not need to be as outrageous as other coastal cities. However, you still get a great bang for your buck in Phoenix. Homes and expenses are very reasonable, and it's one of the closest places to looking like an average American city in terms of cost in the country. Phoenix is good if you like warm weather, hate the snow, or want to live in a desert. Phoenix does get extremely hot, up to 120 degrees or more in the summer months, and if you like colder weather, hate the heat, or don't like the sun, Phoenix is not the place you should move to. Phoenix has gorgeous natural beauty, as the desert backdrop is very unique. Mild winters too help seal the deal if you are a warm weather person, but the summers do get extremely hot, and you should be aware before you consider moving to Phoenix. Overall, Phoenix is B tier. It is the most affordable city on this list and a great alternative to coastal California cities, but it's definitely not for everyone. Next is Raleigh, North Carolina. Raleigh is the newest entry to this list of largest tech hubs in America and has quite the exploding tech scene. Apple announcing it was spending hundreds of millions of dollars to build a new campus in the area didn't hurt either. Raleigh has good opportunities already, and more are coming in every day. And like Phoenix, is really developing a strong startup ecosystem in the area. Raleigh has some of the lowest cost of living on this list. Houses are affordable, rent is pretty cheap, groceries are not marked up 50%, and it is a great place to get by if you want an affordable life. Raleigh has good livability since money goes such a long way here. You can actually afford to buy a house, raise a family, and do activities without breaking the bank. Natural beauty, too, is pretty strong. The city itself is pretty green, and there are both mountains and the ocean within a short drive from the city. You can go swimming in the Atlantic in the summer and then drive up to the ski slopes in the winter. Overall, Raleigh is A tier for me. It is great for people looking for affordability, wanting to afford a house or invest in real estate early in their lives, and those seeking an easier pace of life. Raleigh is definitely an underrated option. Next is San Francisco and the Silicon Valley area. For our purposes today, I've lumped the entire Bay Area into one entry on this list. I'm well aware of the differences between San Jose, Silicon Valley, Oakland, and San Francisco, but for the purposes of this analysis, their statistics pretty much line up in comparison with each other. Silicon Valley is simply the heart of American tech, and to this day, even with all its problems, I will still say is the best place to move to for a certain kind of person. The Bay Area has the highest job opportunities on this list by far. The density of companies, job openings, and opportunities as an employee or even as a founder are simply unmatched compared to any other American city. However, that density of great companies and jobs has resulted in the Bay Area being insanely expensive. Some of the most expensive zip codes in the entire country are here. If you want a home, forget about it. Home ownership is almost unattainable for anyone making less than 6 figures, and everything just costs more here. Groceries, restaurants, and even Ubers all cost much more here than in any other part of the country outside of New York. The Bay Area offers lots of stuff to do if you can afford it. There's tons of outdoor hiking, state and national parks, scenic coastlines, beautiful drives, and vineyards to tour if you can afford a car and the insurance to do all of those things. The weather in the Bay Area has been described as perfect, and it's hard to disagree. If you like temperate weather, don't mind a bit of fog, and hate rain, this area is beautiful. I rarely saw days above 80 degrees here even in the middle of summer. And let's not forget, San Francisco and the Bay Area are within a 4-hour drive of some absolutely incredible places in this country, such as Lake Tahoe, Monterey Bay, and the Redwoods National Park. Overall, San Francisco and Silicon Valley is A tier. It's right for someone who makes a lot of money, wants to be immersed in this enormous tech ecosystem, and wants the lifestyle or job that the Bay Area can offer, but is incredibly expensive, and long gone are the days where the only way to get a job in tech is to live in Silicon Valley. If you don't want to spend $3,000 plus a month on rent for a small studio, there are definitely other options on this list. Last, but definitely not least is Seattle. Seattle is an underrated big city that offers a lot. Seattle has very strong job opportunities, especially in tech. Legacy companies such as Amazon and Microsoft were founded and are still headquartered in the area. There are also thousands of startups and simply tons of job opportunities in tech. Seattle has a pretty high cost of living, all things considered, but it's better than a few of the other cities on this list. Thankfully, salaries are high, rivaling that of the Bay Area, and in terms of the ratio of salaries to housing and cost of living, Seattle actually beats out San Francisco and the Bay Area by a good margin. Seattle has a strong livability score. It's a beautiful city and not completely unaffordable either. Seattle is surrounded by gorgeous natural beauty. The ocean is right there. Emerald green forests and snow-capped mountains are very close, within just an hour's drive, and there's tons of outdoor activities in the area too. Hiking, cycling, and skiing are all found close by. The weather in Seattle is very temperate but dreary. If you don't mind cooler temperatures, mild summers and winters, and a fairly constant mist, then Seattle is a great place for you. But if you like the sun and the beach, this is not the city you should move to. Overall, Seattle is A tier. Seattle is a really strong offering, and you can get a lot for your cost of living. It's definitely on the more expensive side, even for this list, but not at the top, and still offers a reasonable value, beautiful natural scenery, and incredible job opportunities for an expensive but not unreasonable cost of living. Now, if any of the cities on this list are not what you're looking for, and you're seeking alternatives that are cheaper, closer to home, or offer a different lifestyle, I've linked below a video I did earlier in the year that goes over great alternatives to these big tech hubs. There's only a couple of cities that overlap on this list, and all the rest are great, more affordable, and up-and-coming places you can move to avoid the insanely high cost of living that unfortunately comes with most of these big tech metros.